What is up, everybody? Once again, welcome back. We're inside again because it's still, it's actually getting kind of sunny and nice out now, but it's pretty chill out there and kind of getting tired of people at the park like following me around. But, anyways, so today we're going to be talking about selfishness. So, I've kind of realized that people are quite selfish, which I do want to make a point and defend their point of view or from their perspective or in general people's selfishness, because everyone is focused on their own little world. And I don't know if you guys have probably heard this before, but everyone's focused on their own little world. So everyone is the centerpiece of their own world, which makes sense because they are themselves and they want to take care of themselves and do the best for themselves typically. I mean, some people don't because their biochemistry is off, so they have a lot of depression and like issues and things like this, mental health issues. But yeah, most people are actually quite selfish, even if they don't seem like it. The hidden underlying motivators are typically quite selfish. So, for example, if someone goes and visits someone that's in the hospital, and people go, "Oh, wow, they're such a good person. You know, they're taking care of them. They're visiting them all the time." But these people are doing it and posting it on social media, for example, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, well, do they really care? Are they doing it not for selfish reasons or motives? I've noticed too in my own life that most people only do things out of convenience for themselves. So, for example, if someone is like, "Oh yeah, I'm like hanging out with this person all the time, we're having a good time," but they only hang out with the person when they're doing things that they want to do. So, for example, they're like, "Hey, you can come with me to go fishing or something." And maybe you like fishing too, but maybe also they're like, "Oh, well, after we go fishing, we're going to go to the store. And then I also wanted to stop by the DMV." So now you're stuck with that person, right? In the car ride or whatever. So this is just kind of like a brief example. It's probably not the best example, but I'm not sure if I can come up with more things. But my point is pretty much is I think that it is actually natural to be selfish. Now, does that mean that you don't ever make sacrifices for your family? You don't ever go out of your way to help out your friends. It would be your tribe, right? Typically your tribe. I know we kind of use that word nowadays, but I think that it actually is a good representation of how it should be, because naturally speaking, when we lived out in nature and we live in the forest and we live on like the grasslands, you know, we live out in the wild, basically you're going to do anything and everything to protect your tribe. Now, are you going to take risks that are stupid? Like, you're not going to take risks, right? You're always going to try to have odds in the most favor of yourself, rather that will preserve you and your tribe as much as possible. So I think I had another point here on the selfishness, but I just kind of wanted to basically say that being selfish, I think, is pretty natural because all of us have our own urges and needs and desires, and we have things that we need to, like, in those ways fulfill us, right? So at the end of the day, this is why I say too, a lot of people don't ever change. I guess this could be another topic, but there's certain things that people are always going to want to do and they're always going to do. And there's always going to be these like instinctual, I don't know if you want to call them urges, but I almost kind of see them as like instincts and things that you have to go off of to do. It is a little bit different because most people are quite unhealthy today because of our diets. So the desires that they have or what they want to do is not always going to be completely normal or in line because their biochemistry is really messed up. So I guess another example is with people being selfish and not really like always kind of doing what they want to do. And this is also why I think like people, you know, for example, I'll just use the example of going to church, right? So people go to church and they are like, "Oh, I'm going to look like a good Christian," but they're doing it for other people, right? And it's like their own selfish, I mean, I say that they're doing it for other people, but it's their own like selfish desire to have like a certain image of themselves to portray to people. It's not really like something that they actually want to do. And then there's the people who grew up in church and then when they get older, they don't go to church anymore, right? And the reason why is because they don't want to. Like, I think deep down, a lot of people understand the indoctrination and the desire to not want to do that. So then they don't. Trying to think of another example of like a good example of like selfishness, but the main point that I was making before, where like people kind of just do things that they're going to do, but then like people try to twist them into like something positive, but really it was just all along their own selfish desires to do that thing, even if it does end up seeming like it's helping people or being like charitable and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, for example, if you're someone who wants to do like charity work around the world or whatever, well, it's like, really, I think what happens is those people want something to talk about and they want something to do and show off and be like, look how many places I've traveled and things like this. It's not 100% entirely because they actually want to help the people, right? Because, I mean, I think maybe some people have that desire because maybe they didn't have kids. So then they're like, oh, I'm going to go help kids in Africa or something like that, right? But at the end of the day, they wouldn't do it if they didn't actually desire something from that. Like if they didn't get something from it, emotionally or for themselves. People also, so like, for example, they always want to put themselves first. And I think I kind of made this point in other videos too, that because you want to preserve yourself, you're always going to be looking out for what's best for yourself, right? Like that just makes sense out of like a survival perspective for any living thing. So this is I guess the main reason why I'm saying that it's actually okay to be selfish and to be like this, and it's actually something that I think is just innate and natural, that we're just hardwired this way. Because I noticed even for like my own personal life, I wanted to be around friends and family a lot, which has been a good time. It's not that it hasn't been a good time, but what I noticed was a lot of the time I was doing things that other people wanted to do, and I was kind of just going along for the ride just because I wanted to genuinely hang out with them and be around them. But the people that I was always around, is they had things that they always wanted to do, and oh, I want to live my life, these are things that I want to do, and that's okay. Like everyone can be like that, but I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do almost all of the time, right? So it was always what the other person wanted to do, or like I always had to contact those, like I always had to like contact and hit up people first to hang out with me. And I think in their defense, they were probably wanting to wait and see if I was available. So they would be like, okay, well, this guy is going to hit me up when he's ready to, hang out and stuff like that. So I don't really need to hit him up because this guy is going to do it himself, which I think is also valid. But yeah, a lot of times, because I'm a pretty chill person, I'm pretty laid back, but a lot of times people pretty much only want to do what they want to do. Now, does that mean that they're never going to do what you want to do? No, that's not true. But especially I think when people work too, that's probably a big problem because it takes up a lot of their time. So they don't really have a lot of time to do things. So when they do have time to do things, which I guess this could be a really good point, but it's kind of like a point with how like society is run. And I kind of already made like a video on this. So basically like we're servants in a society. Like we don't actually have freedoms like you are told you do, right? Like it's not like that way. So yeah, but I don't think that being selfish is wrong. Now, should you be selfish all the time? Well, there are some times that you're going to need to not be selfish. Like, for example, my grandmother right now is pretty, sick, I guess you could say, but she's not able to go to the walk to the bathroom and things like that. You know, it's really difficult to stand up off of the toilet seat. And so you have to make those sacrifices of the family for the elderly to help them out. But then there's people in the family who are like, well, I can't be here 24/7 for this for the grandma because I also want to live my life, right? So, which, like I said, you can view that as selfish, but I do understand that, like, I said people work, and then also on top of it, like people have their own lives to live. Like you can't just stop your life and all of your own desires for everyone else, because first off, you won't be happy. Like it's just not going to work out that way, right? And I think that that we are actually hardwired to be that way, to look out and preserve the self. Is, I guess, if you want to take anything from this video, it's preserve the self. So anyways, thank you guys for listening to me rant, and I will see you in the next one.